Hey, Stewart's Chapel, this is Don Pierson and Don Counts, and we're at Daryl and Renee Walp's home, and we really appreciate them inviting us here to do some filming. So I'm going to do about a week's worth of filming. This is Thursday's devotion. We are moving away from the idea of being stuck. I want to share with you how this series came about. So a few weeks ago, a dear lady was sharing with me and my wife and a few others her testimony, how the Lord spoke to her through a scripture that gave her direction, her and her husband direction for her children. Now, they had 7 children, and they had 3 young children all at the same time, and they were very, very busy. And God spoke. Now, as I listened to it, some of you may remember a devotion I did a couple of months back about the rhema, the Greek word rhema, which means a personal word that God gives to you that can direct you. Sometimes that rhema is very specific about a decision you're going to make, or very specific about a particular situation you're in, where God just speaks truth into your life for a particular time period. Every now and then, though, God will give you one that is for an extended season of your life. And sometimes He will give you one that is for your whole life, a life verse. I have that. My wife has one of those that God has given her and God has given me. They're not the same. That I use in relationship to ministry, that I believe I'm supposed to use in ministry to help me understand God's will and direction for me in ministry. One day I'll share that one with you, and one day I may get my wife to share hers with you. But as this lady was sharing, I realized that God had given her a rhema, and she knew God had given her a rhema. Her husband knew that God had given them a rhema, and it changed their life radically. So I'm going to share the scripture with you, and over the next 6 or 7 days of devotion, I'm going to camp out on this word, not the rhema, but on the truth. And so here's what the title of these devotions are going to be. Going at God's pace. Going at God's pace. And so the scripture that she shared and that I want to use for the devotion today is found in Genesis chapter 33, verses 13 and 14. Now, as she shared it, I don't remember exactly how she found this. She was just reading, and when she read this, it spoke. And I'm telling you, it spoke to me as she shared it. And so here it is. But Jacob said to him, that was to his brother Esau, "My Lord knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and herds which we are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard, one day all the flock will die. So please let my Lord go on ahead before his servant. I will lead on slowly at a pace which the livestock that go before me and the children are able to endure until I come to my Lord in Sire." Incredible passage. You see what had happened. Jacob was sent away by his mother in flight. His father, his mother and he had deceived his father for a blessing. Now sometime earlier, his brother Esau had traded his birthright for some porridge, for soup. And so the relationship between Jacob and his brother Esau doesn't seem to ever have been well. They were very, very different in personality and characteristics. So Jacob had fled. Well, Jacob found refuge in the presence of a relative named Laban, who had a daughter and ended up having two daughters. Well, the story you may know, he ends up marrying both of his daughters and then taking the concubines. In other words, he ends up with 4 wives and the 12 children. He is leaving there and returning home, but he is fearful. He is very much aware that Esau may still have some issues, maybe an unforgiving brother. And so he has sent out before him his servants, his cattle, and so on and so on. Well, when he gets to Esau, Esau is not the man he left. Esau has changed. Esau volunteers to help get all of Jacob's family and possessions home. But Jacob says to Esau, look, I can't push them. This is a desert place. It's a hot place. I need to go at the pace of the little ones. I need to go slow. Well, that word spoke to this dear lady that God was giving her direction, basically telling her, you need to slow down. At that time, she had shared that all of her children were in sports activities. They were running all over the place, like many of you. And they were exhausted. There was no quality time, even though they were going everywhere. They were constantly together watching, but there wasn't what it should have been. And God was telling her, you need to change your pace. You need to go at a pace of the child. I do wish that more parents would hear this word. The drive for scholarships, the drive to please your children, the drive, to be like everybody else, to have everything else everybody has, so consumes us. We live in a day and a time where God's people really need to go at the pace that God desires and not the pace of the world. Or one day you'll wake up and all you will have is fatigue. Many memories you will have rushed through. So I want to encourage you to be praying over the next few devotions. A simple prayer. Lord, if I'm going to walk worthy according to my calling of following you, I must walk at your pace. It's not about you rushing after me. It's about me following you. And I know you care for the little ones. Father, help me to walk at your pace. Love you, Stewart's Chapel.